Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to some more Let's Play the Occult Chronicles. In the last episode, we started playing the game again, getting Lotaeri created, a gentleman who has a gun and the will to use it, as he is attempting to hunt down, as he is investigating this ancient Corvinus manor, in which vampires have been rumored to set up shop here. We have so far found a few clues indicating that there are indeed vampires here. We need to figure out how strong they are, and hopefully eliminate them if possible. Things are going very well so far, which is not something I've been able to say too often at this stage in the game, considering that we've played for a bit now. We started with a Colt 45 and picked up a machete, finding it embedded in the flesh of a Talazrati scientist we killed earlier. We started with Reckless Charge, an ability which I've been forgetting we actually possess. As well, we haven't used it. For our starting edges, given our background, we started with Never Misses, which doesn't help us at all. Chain Lightning, and Adaptive Intellect. This is the one we were able to choose. This is letting us draw extra cards for any combat challenge in which we can use a pistol in. This lets us draw more cards for all horror challenges, and this helps a gun's special ability if it targets something in our hand, which our current gun, the Colt 45, does not. Things have been good though, experience-wise. We were able to take another Specialist card pretty much, well, not immediately, but very close to immediately, and we were able to level our wands up a point as well. Super useful. And now it's time to continue our adventure. Oh, right, quests. We also have 3 quests so far. Finding a bead and shattering it, which should release the armor from the curse a witch put on it. Finding some documents for a Vishaka that we bumped into, who has agreed not to eat us if we find it, and may reward us if we bring it back to him. And a butler, which the ghostly dinner party we are standing on at the moment wants us to find so we can order dessert. Let's continue. With an encounter in this corner. Interesting. I wonder what else the ghosts have sitting at this table. It wouldn't be a demon, would it? It would be a demon. You hear the sounds of something feeding. In the gloom, you see a bloated figure seated at the end of the table. Your first impression is that it is corporeal and not a spirit of some sort. You step closer to get a better view. You would have figured we would have seen this, by the way, when we talked with all the ghosts at the dinner table, instead of just ignoring this thing in the corner, eating flesh and drinking blood. That's probably pretty different to what the other ghosts are doing. I'm just saying. The creature is demonic in appearance. It is busy feasting on some type of meat that adorns a silver platter. It halts its chewing and slowly lifts its head up to examine you. The eyes transfix you. Your training tells you that you are in danger. We don't have any eyes on the picture here from what I can see, but maybe my own eyes aren't working properly here. You fight to keep your mind from racing away with thoughts of panic and terror. You also struggle to keep your lunch down. Oh my god, that's a fantastic hand. Although we don't have any cups cards, which is sucking right now. Okay, we do still manage to win. Thankfully. You push back the nausea and stare the demon down. You're confronted with the demon of gluttony. As red juice runs on its face and chin, you struggle to overcome a growing nausea. You remember the odd lectures in demonology, a type of demon for each of the 7 deadly sins as described by Julianus the Thurgist in the Hermetica Chaldea. These demons love to bargain and converse, and playing along with one can be very dangerous. It seems to be sizing you up like it's looking at a menu. This is the start of a quest we can get, which will have us find a demonic baby and bring it back to it so we can eat it. I think we will talk with it. You take a seat and manage to gain its attention. You start a conversation in Old Chaldean. With 2 kings, we're lucky to succeed. No low number cards is also handy. That is very handy. Taking the king of swords with our king. I'll use the king. Good. It seems eager to hear you out. In fact, it wants you to do it a little favor. Bring me more food. And a bucket. The demon says it wants more food. And it's not just any food. There's a nursery nearby. It wants a baby. And from the description, it's not just any baby. I think the bucket and food thing is from The Meaning of Life? From Monty Python, if I recall correctly. Been a long time since I watched that movie. Holy crap, not since I think it was in college. That would be sometime in the 1990s. We'll step through the garden. But I'm going to ignore the encounters here at the moment, if there's anything up here. There's 2 hostile encounters in the garden. One could be a Telesrati. The other could be like a living plant or something. And I'd like to avoid them at this moment. Hallways could be nothing but trouble. You hear the mechanism click and then see motion out of the corner of your eye. A large pendulum swings down into your location at a tremendous rate of speed. It looks like it could cut you in half. Well, do we want 6 tricks and 4 draw, or 4 tricks and 6 draw? I generally prefer more draw than tricks. I want the option to deal with what's revealed. Well, I want to have more options to deal with what's revealed than the possibility of having more cards revealed that draw from my hand. So let's go with dodge the blade. Instinctively, you duck and roll away from the falling blade. We do have a King of Pentacles. We just have to hope a Pentacles shows up here and we win the challenge just like that. And we do. We don't take a chance with traps. They're too dangerous. Okay, and we would have had to play the king anyway to take a 5, so that really worked out. You tuck into a roll and come up 4 feet away unscathed. Junk storage room. We'll take a peek in here really quick. This is probably some junk. It's not. You have come up a large bas-relief face mounted on the wall. Its features are worn and it looks quite old. As you stare at it, you start to feel uneasy. Suddenly, you realize that the mouth is moving its lips ever so slightly, and then you hear the mumbling. It starts as a whisper, but you can't get it out of your head as it grows in intensity. If this keeps up, you are certain that it will drive you insane. You fight to keep the mumblings from overwhelming your mind. You can't understand any of it, but the droning noises seem to want to burrow deep into your skull, and that can't be good. King of Pentacles, Queen of Swords, some high number cards. It's a decent hand. Some low number cards as well. And we have no cups at all. You begin your own chant based on the Zen relaxation technique you once learned in the Orient. It works to cancel out the mumbling and clears your mind of the pain. The face on the wall looks amiable, but you know otherwise. Its lips continue to move, but the mumbling is barely audible. Examining the bas-relief more closely, you notice that there is a pictograph script of some sort disguised within the frieze that encircles the face. You sense eldritch sorcery at work here. The bas-relief could be enchanted, or cursed, or merely serving as a physical nexus of some malevolent force. You realize that you should proceed with caution. Let's listen to the mumbles. Aware that you must proceed with caution, you focus your mind and try to attune yourself to the rhythmic cadences that issue from the lips of the bas-relief. Perhaps something can be learned from what appears to be just dangerous gibberish. You slip into a trance and the words take shape in your mind. You are face to face with an ancient eldritch creature of terrifying power. It is, however, trapped in the bas-relief. It wants to strike a bargain with you. I can't pronounce that name. Six Mulgath, I think is what it is. I'm just going to skip reading it this time. The bas-relief face seems almost to be smiling at you, and it makes you uneasy. The smile belies the agony that it must be in. The mumbling's meaning now seems crystal clear. Its heart has been ripped from it and hidden somewhere in the house. The sorcery binding it cannot be broken until its heart is returned to it. It wants you to seek out the wall that weeps blood and reach inside to find and free its heart. It teaches you the words of release and promises you that you will be rewarded should you help it free itself from the face. Let's talk a little bit about some of the items we might acquire in the game that are quest related in particular. The game, some items, most weapons, have the same abilities whenever you find them. The Colt 45, for example, does the same thing whenever we would get it. But some items, like this heart this face wants us to get, do not have the same effect as you play the game different times. It's a randomly chosen effect. A part of me likes it because you can't be guaranteed what you're going to earn if you decide to, like, keep the heart yourself after you return it to the bas-relief. You can try to fool the face and banish it and then keep the heart. And the heart will have drawn from a pool of different abilities. But a part of me feels like I would like to have known what it always does, so I know if it's worth trying to betray the face. I have yet to betray the face and fail that betrayal. Maybe we'll attempt that with Lotaeri this time. You notice that the floor in front of you seems to be moving. You step closer, thinking that it must be some sort of optical illusion. Suddenly, you step on something, and it makes a squishing noise. You look down and see a writhing carpet of insects covering the floor. Scattered around, the insects are the bones of their victims. You have never seen so many insects together all at once. Waves seem to undulate across an ocean of insects. The patterns are almost mesmerizing. You get a very bad feeling looking at this. It makes you afraid. You see things far worse than this. After all, you spent 2 weeks at the odd survival school eating bugs and some other things you would rather not think about. You count dozens of different species, and you wonder why they would all be gathered here together. The bones indicate a food source of some sort, but you wouldn't expect so many different types. Centipedes, cockroaches, ants, and spiders. If you want to keep moving down the corridor, you're going to have to step on or over them. I believe I lowered the difficulty of stepping back the way you came. But I'm going to try to keep going. You decide to keep going and carefully step across the carpet of insects as best you can. And we succeed at that, thanks to that king. You shuffle here and there, careful not to disturb the giant colony. A few try to call up your legs to bite you, but they are easily brushed away. The first... Actually, that's not true. 2 of the floors will have a encounter like this. One is the writhing mass of insects. The other is a green slime. They, to my knowledge, will not be on the same floor. This forces you to make a decision if you want to try to cross them or go around them. The green slime can be defeated. Normally, in the game, the writhing mass of insects cannot be defeated. You can't remove it from the board. But I changed the options here, and if you end up needing to fight the insects, you can clear it from the space, allowing you to travel through it without making the tests again. A workroom. Yep, workshop. Oh, no. You feel your foot step down on the pressure plate and then hear the dramatic sounds of darts being shot through blow tubes. You catch a glimpse of the deadly swarm of neotip killers heading your way. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's exactly the same. Okay, you react without thinking, tucking to an acrobatic duck and roll. Oh, no. We fail horribly. You tumble but choose the wrong direction. You might regret this. That could have been worse. I chose the talisman that time. Whenever I fail a trap, I'm going to choose the talisman card. What the talisman does is when you select a card that the talisman is on, whatever effect is under that card, if there was any, will be ignored. So if that was a loss of life, we wouldn't suffer loss of life. If that was a wound, we would ignore it. If that was an instant death result, it also is ignored. But the penalty for choosing it is that in this case, there is a 10% chance that our talisman is gone forever when we select it from the results page of a failure, or a failure results page. An angry poltergeist of knives. You hear the clatter and swish of air before you can even see it. Then, suddenly in front of you is a supernatural cyclone of razor-sharp butcher knives. It's moving right towards you, and you don't have the luxury to panic. You fight to keep yourself calm. That will do it. Your will obeys, and you are ready for whatever comes next. Likely, it's going to be knives that comes next. You know a poltergeist when you see it, and this one is armed, dangerous, and mad. We do not have a good chance to combat it at the moment, so running it is. You mustered your courage to turn and run. This thing obviously wants to make a point. You stand there, paralyzed with fear, and the poltergeist seems to feed off of that. Oh, okay. I was confused. I thought we had to take a third card, and I'm like, click this one, and nothing happens. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe that's an omen. Let's choose this one instead. Wait, nothing's working. Why is nothing working? I had to choose two. We'll have to flee again. We are not going to be able to do this. You find the willpower to turn and run. Never draw any cards from an encounter like that. Fleeing, that is. A crafts room. And a flood of rats. At first you hear the telltale scratching and scuttling noises. Rats. Probably the walls, you think. Without any further warning, a veritable tide of rats floods out towards you. You've heard stories about rats in the walls, H.P. Lovecraft reference, but you were unprepared for this. You wonder if they really can take a man down to the bones in a few minutes. You see things far worse than this. The rats come towards you like an immovable force of nature. There must be 100 of them. If they overwhelm you, you fear you might not be able to get back up. Normally, you have to attack the rats. That's the only option. I added using magic against them. And that's it. By the way, for all the encounter options I added, so I mentioned this because, and I'll stop mentioning it probably in the next episode. I mentioned it because I have heavily modified my game. If you pick up this game and you don't see these options, it's because you're not playing what I have. I spent weeks, months learning how to adjust the game files for this and adding options and tweaking numbers and stuff of that sort. They're both okay options. We could try... Oh, wow. Running's actually tougher than fighting or even using magic. We'll attack him. Is there an exterminator in the house? You're outnumbered, but not outgunned. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we do have 7. Alright, so... Nice. It's always a good feeling when the queen shows up, but you have the king in your hand to take that card. Like there as well. You kill dozens, wound even more, and fling yet more away. At some point, they seem to break, like they were being controlled by a single will, and then scatter and flee. Three experience points. Let's immediately... Where's our cups value? It's wands again. That's a shame. I wanted cups to be the thing we increase a lot. Maybe we'll get lucky, and this will be a cups after we increase it once. We'll find out, I guess. Actually, yeah, let's find out. Okay, good. We have another cups option. So I've been good then. Soldier with Mechanical Device Specialist will make it so that we have at least 4 in all my stats, assuming we take a spell skill card next, which I think we will do. I'm going to probably do that next. We're going to grab another skill card, and it's going to be a spell allotment of some sort. It would a spell card of some sort. It would be nice though to have a spell first, so I know what type of spells I'm looking to gain and effect. The talisman is also a nice talisman specialist is also nice, but I tend to always take it, so I think we'll make it a little different for us this time. Let's also quickly go back to the main menu. I like how this is coming out so far. I don't want thinking the glitch. By the way, what does this do again? Non-face played card. The ballroom? And the church. I guess let's see if there's a ghostly bride in the church. And I'll risk going straight down the middle of it. There isn't one right down the middle, but there is something over here. You hear the soft beat of a human heart. It seems to slowly grow louder. The air around you becomes cold, and you start to see your own breath. Suddenly, a ghost materializes directly in front of you. It is a ghost of a woman dressed in an elaborate bridal dress. The sight of her is quite a shock. The sudden appearance of the ghostly bride threatens to send you into a panic and damage your sanity. You were part of the team that broke into the Frankenstein castle after that creature found its would-be bride. You've seen things far worse than this. The ghostly bride hovers in front of you. You are alarmed to notice that she seems to transform herself across a range of apparitions. At times, she is a vision of calm, innocent beauty, and then her eye sockets seem to empty and she appears fully skeletal, a harbinger of wrath. You sense some traumatic event that has bound her here, and she seems to be longing for the return of something. You decide to use your psychic talents as a medium to figure out why the ghostly bride is waiting here. You enter a trance and try talking with the ghostly bride. She babbles incoherently about wedding plans. You can't make heads or tails of it. I failed that on purpose, because I want to use a face card to get more chances at a better reward. We'll do it, even though I think it's a mistake. Okay, good. You enter a trance and soon are talking with the ghostly bride. She explains that she is waiting here for her betrothed, who is late for their wedding. She wants your help. Her name appears to have been Constance, since she is waiting for her betrothed to appear and marry her. You get the feeling that she has been waiting a long time. She wants you to find him, but has no idea where he has been hanging out. She's certain, though, that he is somewhere nearby. That means somewhere in the mansion, not necessarily close to her. He's generally in the attic or second floor, not on the first floor. We also did gain 2 more experience points. Let's start putting it toward another skill card. I'm going to assume there's no clue tokens here. There can be a nasty trap in this room of a falling chandelier, and I don't feel like it crushing us. Your attention is drawn to a large stone statue of a truly horrific and bizarre-looking gargoyle. It sits on a pedestal with its arms wrapped around its legs. You suddenly feel shock shoot down your spine as you notice its eyelids blink open. This stone statue is alive. You fight to control a growing tide of fear that is sweeping over you. You've seen things far worse than this. Indeed we have. The game's being very kind with the cards we are drawing. The gargoyle stretches itself out and unfurls its large wings. You note its razor-sharp claws. Before you realize it, it moves forward to attack you. I think it's part of a quest, so I'd like to not kill it yet. We'll just flee. The gargoyle is probably guarding something. You hope that the sorcery that animates it also confines it to a specific location. You turn and run. You must have been correct in your assessment. The gargoyle does not pursue you. Suddenly in front of you materialize a group of figures dressed in suits and evening gowns, waltzing with partners unhappily around the room. The surprise appearance from thin air catches you off guard and startles you. The ghostly ball is quite disconcerting, even though the ghosts seem to be unaware of your presence. You struggle to keep a rein on any fears that would chip away at your sanity. Oh, we have to play cards, Tim. That's a page. The ghostly ball is silent and disquieting. You struggle to keep your composure. The deathly silence that encompasses this ghostly ball strikes you as odd. Although the ghosts themselves seem oblivious to your presence, you feel a definite tension in the air. The ghosts themselves seem quite displeased about something. It doesn't appear to have anything to do with you. Then you realize what is so odd. None of the ghosts are dancing. They start to partner up, but then each time the dance is set to begin, nothing happens. You decide to use your training as a medium to make contact and find out what seems to be troubling them. There's always a risk with this type of action. You make the rounds from couple to couple until you find one that wants to talk. There seems to be a problem with the ball. Maybe you can help. The ghosts explain that the band will not play without its pianist, and they have no idea where the fellow is. You hear a chubby old monocle-wearing ghost sitting near the wall chuckle. With his piano, of course. You contemplate the ghost's meaning, and you suspect that a piano will indeed be the key to this mystery. Sweet! I like when I select, the cards I'm allowed, and every single one of them is a reward. I feel like I'm psychic at that point. But I know I'm not. Okay, let's go down here. Really a roundabout way to get back to this side of the mansion. I don't like long hallways like this. Story advanced. Unreliable food sources. The protectors who serve this vampire coven have been having problems finding fresh blood for their masters. The first story token is drawn, everyone. We'll talk about this briefly. These circles represent story tokens. When one is drawn, it will be the circle will be highlighted. Only the last circle that was highlighted will be the one affecting your game currently. They are not cumulative. When the last story token is drawn, if you have not found and defeated the boss of this mission, you automatically lose. Generally, around the time this token is drawn, I will begin to make my way down into the basement to find the Elder, because the basement is really difficult to navigate through. It takes a long time to get through, and we'll need to start here if you want to have a chance of finding and killing him. Story tokens, when drawn, are either positive or negative in some fashion. Sometimes the negative actions actually can be quite dangerous indeed, so always read what the story token, how the story token is affecting your game when you draw one. In this case, all challenges that involve wands as the primary suit, so horror checks for example, receive a -1 modifier to the target trick points number needed to win the challenge. Well, this story icon is active, so they'll be a little easier for us, supposedly. Another reanimated skeleton. Okay, so we don't have to pass the horror check this time. Combat is a little tougher against it now, I feel, but I think we can still beat it. Well, maybe we can't. I was tempted to use our charge here, but we don't have any swords in our hand, and we either draw just swords or face cards, so I'm glad we didn't use it. You lost the battle. The skeleton is relentless and fearless. Soon it has you in a tough position. We'll try that again. Okay, keep going, Tim. We did win the challenge, but I'm going to go ahead and try to practice our machete a bit. Nice. Improved our 9 to a 7 and earned us a few more points because of that. You won. Oh, I guess we won. Well done, Tim. We get back one of those points of damage we took and gain another experience token. Okay, I'm going to save the game really quick because if I... Oh. Well, this is a bit awkward, but I'm going to save the game as well. I generally prefer waiting to take a spell specialization until after I have a spell, but we don't have such here. And like we've earned no spells so far, so it's a bit awkward, but I still want a spell specialization because we'll be able to increase our pentacle stat by taking one. I don't remember what these different spells do in particular, but they all have useful spells in them, and a few ones that aren't as useful. I think I'll take Eldritch Sorcery Specialist. Some arcane scholars contend that the power of Eldritch Sorcery is harnessed by draining it from an alien dimension. The danger of awakening things there is said to be very real. You fear that each time you can commune with this alien dimension, you are putting your very soul at grave risk. Maybe we don't do that then. It was an age undreamed of when wizard kings ruled by channeling a powerful dark sorcery that eventually frayed the very fabric of reality. Only fragments of this knowledge remain, and you have dedicated yourself to uncovering what you can and harnessing the power for your own use. Let's take Hyperborean instead. The other staircase. Okay. Let's head upstairs here and put this on the map. And we can see where the other one is. By the way, it's possible to look at the upstairs and downstairs maps in the game. It turns out that there's hotkeys for it, but my computer doesn't. My keyboard doesn't have a numpad, so I cannot do so. Do we start to explore the kitchen? Yes. We might find a butler in this area. You look down and see a large knife resting on a wooden surface. Blood has pooled around it, and there are several pieces of stubby flesh scattered around it as well. Suddenly you see two pale eyes reflected on the surface of the blade. No, not reflected, but rather projected from someplace inside the blade. You recoil in terror from the vision. The eyes seem to pierce through your very soul. They mask a dark and powerful evil will. You shudder and force yourself to resist it. You can feel it probing your psychic defenses. It assaulted your mind and found your defenses sadly lacking. It identifies your weaknesses and uses them against you. It sounds more like a generic response, which makes me crazy because I don't understand how that would apply to a dagger looking at us. You gaze down at the knife, but try to keep your gaze from locking on to the memorizing eyes within the blade. You feel an oppressive presence in the room with you. The knife radiates pure evil. You resolve to approach this artifact with caution. I wonder how many throats this thing has slit. This is the second part of a quest, so I'm just going to try to flee it. The evil presence continues to probe your defenses, seeking to dominate you. You feel that the outcome is balanced on a knife's edge, so you decide to cut and run. You want to move, but stand there mesmerized by the eyes. They just won't let you go. You think you hear a soft, maniacal laughter, but it must be only in your head. You still yourself to move and break free from the evil presence that lurks within the knife. With one last final mental push, you turn and run. Now, there is something, by the way, about fleeing an encounter. If you... and it's odd it didn't happen here, but if you gain a certain number of points over the target number, you will be allowed to evade the challenge instead of flee. What that means is that instead of being forced back a space, you will stay on the space where you had the encounter. You feel the pressure plate depress under your foot and hear a sizzling sound as a spray of acid hurtles towards you. Oh man, will we get one more draw here? You rely on your quick reflexes to turn away from the acid and roll to the ground so it goes sailing over you. We have some face cards, but a bunch of other not-so-great cards here. That's a shame. Uh-oh. You dodge, but you aren't quick enough to completely avoid the splatter. It burns. You see a spent candle placed next to 7 chalk circles. You have the impression that somebody has been playing a game here. You notice the cards sitting in 3 of the circles. A sudden chill shoots down your spine as you recognize one of the cards. Death. Something supernatural is going on here, and you can feel it in your bones. A ritual was in the process of being performed and was suddenly interrupted. You can sense the spirit energy swirling about this place. I love flipping over a bunch of cards, not having any that match. We did win, though, which is very good. It's just, for those of you listening at home and not watching, I take it you hear the sound of each card being placed and know it's not a success, because you hear the slight ding otherwise. You shrug off the effects of the supernatural energy that has been drawn to this location via the ritual that the deck has begun to invoke. Alongside death sit despair and darkness. The unseeing eye seems to preside over all three. This is a very unusual deck. You can't place it exactly from memory. You think it might have originated in the Bolgans, but you're not sure. You study the setup carefully and decide what to do next. You decide to try and examine the card game set up more closely to see if you can identify it and what it was trying to do. Yes, you recognize the deck in the setup. It's clearly the work of the Red Hand. You had thought that the cult had been destroyed utterly. Why would a Red Hand divination deck be set up here? There must be a spirit key nearby. You should try to find it. If you find the key, you can play the deck without the worry that you might precipitate some catastrophic event. You suspect that it is nearby. A key for a deck created for the Red Hand will most likely bear the mark of the Red Hand somewhere conspicuous. You will know it when you see it. We know where that is, actually, but it's on the other side of the mansion at the moment, and I'd like to keep exploring this side since we're here. The gardens. We're not going out there yet. There's some nasty traps out there. Just a grenade tripwire trap and a shotgun tripwire trap, and they're awful. I don't feel like gaining a wound so early. You think that you hear someone whistling at first. The gloom seems to part, and you encounter a figure engaged in a task of some sort. It is dressed in clothes from a previous era. As you come closer, you realize that you are in the presence of something supernatural. The figure is transparent and seems to glide here and there as if floating on air. Air, actually, not air. I don't know what air even is. No matter how many times you see something like this, it's always a bit of a shock. Your touch with the supernatural threatens to chip away at your sanity. Calm your mind and resist the terror that wishes to overwhelm you. I'll risk that we'll be able to play our queen a little later, but not the king. You've kept your sanity. At this point, you've almost gotten used to the spectacle of spirits of household servants scampering around their old haunts. The ghost that you are observing was obviously once a baker. You recognize the distinctive clothing and discern that it appears to be going through the motions of preparing bread for the oven. You sense, however, that it is agitated. It keeps repeating the same motions over and over as if stuck in some type of circle. It pays you no attention whatsoever. You decide to make contact with the ghost and listen to its story. Many focused hauntings like this have some unresolved business here in this world. Maybe you can help. You enter a trance and psychically reach out to the ghost. As you suspected, the ghost is caught in a psychokinetic rut of a sorts. It's not fully aware of this, but it seems eager to talk. I haven't any time for you, shouts the ghostly baker. Unless, of course, you can get my oven working again. It's wandered off somewhere, but I need it cleaned and fast. It's time to make the donuts. The ghostly baker pays you no more heed and goes back to its endless preparations. You will need to find this oven and clean it. It's one of the first times I think I've gotten this quest before I found the actual oven. But it's not going to be in these areas, to my knowledge. None of these are more of a kitchen area. I guess we will explore up here. The butler might be in this room. A tall, well-dressed figure looms at the view, holding a silver platter in one hand as if to offer you an appetizer. Your eyes travel down to the platter and behold half a human head. You feel a surge of panic growing within you. You've been trained to expect and deal with things like this. Even so, no matter how many times you see something like this, it still requires steady nerves to keep calm. Thankfully, we have pentacles, which means that we are absolutely keeping calm, given what showed up here. You have kept your sanity. Are you the head waiter? You trolling inquire. I approve of the puns very much. You could say that it was headed in the right direction. Standing in front of you is the figure of what was obviously once a butler or servant. You say once because you are sure that what now confronts you is a supernatural entity of some sort. It is the most corporeal ghost that you have ever encountered. You have read of such things in Tobin's Spirit Guide, but you are certain that this is very unusual. You approach the butler, and his glowing eyes are fixed on you. The head on the plate suddenly stares up at you as well. May I help you, sir? It intones, and you are not sure if you've actually heard its voice in your ears, or just in your head. Without displaying the slightest amount of unease, you inquire about dessert by telling the ghost, yes, my good man. The guests in the dining room are getting a little excited about their dessert. Could you head over there and to the kitchen and see what the problem is? I don't think the ghost, though, will want to face that encounter so readily, though. Oh, dear sir, I'm afraid I haven't the time. I'm waiting here to bring the master his supper at the proper time. You can follow your nose to the kitchen and talk to the chef yourself. The butler does not have time to order dessert for the ghostly dinner banquet, as he must wait for the master to serve him his supper. He says that you should go place the order with the chef in the kitchen, and then return here for directions. It's a bit dangerous to walk on the side here. I am nervous about more traps, but there is likely to be a third clue token somewhere here. This is not a kitchen. This looks like another storeroom of some sort, so we're not likely to find what we're looking for there. The fact that the knife is blocking this off is also a hint to me. The knife, so we found the dinner party, and that has us go to the butler. The butler wants us to find the waiter, I'm sorry, the chef. The chef will want us to find his dagger. And so he's not likely to be behind it, but he could be. We'll assume he's not, though, at the moment. And it's a good thing we didn't. Here's the kitchen. You come across an odd sight for this house, and that is saying something. Before you sits a 1922 Kelvinator refrigeration unit. Who knows how it got here? You notice that the door is hanging slightly ajar. Your eyes are drawn to the interior of the main porcelain cabinet, and you are shocked by what you see. Jars and jars of internal organs, some human, some you are not sure of. Your stomach turns at the sight of all the neatly stacked organ jars. The methodical alignments and the precision of the stacking makes you wonder about the evil, obsessive-compulsive genius behind this? In all my years and modding and fixing spelling errors and grammatical issues, I felt it appropriate to leave the question mark at the end of that sentence. You aren't going to go looking around for sandwich fixings, but the sight of the organs and tissues, many of them still moving, doesn't really faze you. Rows of neatly stacked transparent jars and specimen dishes containing organs and tissue samples fill the inside of the main porcelain cabinet, each labeled in a neat mechanical handwritten script. You glance over the labels, noting some of the stranger ones. Krogan, Asari, Drell, Turian. On the bottom shelf is a rack holding dozens of vials, each also neatly labeled. Zugu venom, trace of the beyond, Kinat's acid? I always have to say that the first group of them are from Mass Effect, I believe, and the last group of them are from the Witcher series, if I recall. This is part of a quest, the first in the series, and this tells me that there's a mad scientist somewhere in the house that is not likely to have the chef in it. But we'll search it. Suddenly, you see the dim glow of a formless ghost just ahead of you. It seems to just hang in the air. It may be the most basic of spectral creatures, an unformed psychokinetic disturbance, but it's still a spirit all the same, and it would frighten any flesh and blood human. You see things far worse than this. The haunting manifests itself as a dim ball of light. It has no sense of its previous life or existence. It wanders hopelessly lost. You should exercise caution. These haunts cannot be reasoned with, and they can be lethal if disturbed. Normally, you have to destroy the ghost with your psychic talents, but I added a new option for this. Get her. That's it. That's the whole plan. Get her. Because Vic Davis in the writing of this game allude to various pop culture references, I thought it would be funny to put one in here that harkens back to Ghostbusters. We have a Cups card? We do. Well, this is not looking good for us. That went horribly wrong. You didn't stand a ghost of a chance. Get her? What were you thinking? Thankfully, everything was still fine. We'll try destroying the ghost. You decide to use your psychic talents to dispel the ghost and send it to the spirit world. It will most likely resist. And it did so. You engage in a psychic duel with the ghost. It overwhelms your psychic defenses and tries to get into your mind. Generally, when it comes to losses, you get bigger losses the better you are doing. The more sanity you possess, the more likely that you will draw higher sanity loss cards. The later in the game you are, and the higher your stats are, the more likely you will draw impairments from losing even a battle against something simple, like this ghost here. Well, that didn't work. Let's try it again. That went even worse for us. Got no cards drawn. I actually like losing sanity, though, in these early engagements because it keeps the game from thinking I'm doing so well. So I don't mind a few -2 sanity point cards. Lost again. This is turning out to be really bad for us. Poor Lotaeri has no clue how to handle this ghost. Try again. We'll play the page. And it didn't matter in the end. I was lucky to be able to play the king. You finally defeat the ghost. It turns its mindless anger and desperation against you, but you prevail. You feel that whatever it was before would thank you for the peace you gave it. Come on. Experience points. I want to increase my pentacles. No. You see what at first looks like a blur of light and shadow moving back and forth in a circular pattern. It might even be the reflection of some nearby mirror or window. Suddenly you see a ghost materialize before you. It's dressed in the classic attire of a chef with an apron and a distinctive cooking hat. You stop dead in your tracks and try to compose yourself. Your mind races contemplating this ghostly creature that has suddenly appeared before you. The fear it elicits is of course natural, but confronting the supernatural is never easy. We have a Wands card. You have kept your sanity. You might even emerge from this a little stronger. You also might not. The ghostly chef floats about in the circle as if moving from workstation to working station. It seems completely absorbed in what it is doing and does not seem to be paying you any attention. You have found the chef, apparently. It's time to use your skills as medium to order the dessert. We asked for wands, and it had everything but except for wands. You enter a trance and reach out to the ghost. We only needed 1 point, too. That's embarrassing. It turns to look at you with an angry face. No time to talk. It needs more cowbell. I'm sure it does. Whatever it is we're cooking. Let's try this again. I'm just going to fail that one. We'll do this again. A bunch of 2s and aces. We'll play the king. Alright, that one worked out very nicely. You enter a trance and reach out to the ghost. It turns to look at you with a concerned face. You are here about the dessert, no? I would very much like to help, but I need my knife. It's run off somewhere. Once it's back, I will serve you up a dessert to be remembered. Dessert, yes, but my knife has run off somewhere. There will be no dessert until it's back. Have you found it? It's very sharp and very strong-willed. Has a mind of its own, you know. Please tell it to come back here at once. You have a bad feeling about this. This is probably the oven, is my guess. I think we'll try handling it. You stop dead in your tracks when you see it. A large 19th century oven is shambling across the floor in front of you. It seems to rock back and forth, and you hear the loud scrapes that it makes as it hobbles forward. A sudden chill shoots down your spine as you realize that you're confronting something otherworldly here. You flinch in horror as a face seems to materialize and turn its attention to you. Haunted furniture and you never get along very well. Your eyes widen in disbelief as the possessed oven turns to meet your gaze. You must fight to keep your sanity. You'll be damned if you will let this kitchen appliance scare you. The possessed oven seems to rock back and forth as it sizes you up. You could swear you hear screams from souls trapped within the oven, roasting in agony. This creature is the product of a sorcery or curse of unfathomable evil. So all we have to do is destroy it somehow. We don't have good chances to do it unless we shoot it. Actually, attacking it isn't the worst, but that target of 7 is tough to make. I think let's use our gun for the first time. Stopping power. The power behind these slugs will bring most living things to their knees, and even the undead will feel a hefty kick. You can also put holes, apparently, into appliances. It's 1 less target and 2 more draw, 1 more trick. I've had much better hands than this, though. We have almost all low cards, with the exception of a King of Cups. I'm going to use our Reckless Charge here, too. So 3 cards here that were number cards have had their numbers drop down 3 points. And it looks like we got to draw some cards as well. Is that right? Is that the way that works? Yes, and we drew X cards as well. Because I see a 10 of Wands, which is now, like, the only other good card we have. We'll win the challenge by playing our king. Oh, actually, no. We'll play the 2. And then we're going to use Chop Chop. Or do we use the... No, I don't use the Occult again, because we're almost out of bullets for it. Good. That gives us 2 points. And now we win. Holy crap. That is a bunch of garbage. We still won, though, thank God. You damaged the oven severely. It is a wrecked shambles, unable to move, and the spirit once possessing it has now fled. It is probably even looking for a suitable new vessel. Let's go and turn these quests in, everyone. And then it feels like I'm playing for close to an hour, so we'll stop. Actually, we'll also go ahead and complete the knife quest while we're here. Communicating with something like this is always dangerous. There's no telling how powerful this possessed knife really is. You decide to risk it and enter a trance. I don't mess around with the knife. I think there's a chance for you to get a wound if you fail. You enter a trance and are immediately assaulted with the desire to harm yourself. Before you know it, the blade is in your hand. But you fight back and make it listen to your command. The knife obeys. It will return to the chef shortly. You decide to tell the ghostly baker that his oven is now clean and ready for use. Maybe this will put him at peace. You cleaned it, you say. Well, that's great news. I'll make sure you get a little something if any of the donuts are left over. Without a word, the ghostly baker vanishes. I think we choose the rest of this column or row. Justice! One of my favorite cards. Of all the Arcana cards to get, I really like Justice. We'll look at the Arcana card, and I'll talk about Arcana cards in a little bit. Holy crap! I guessed correctly here, apparently. I wish that... So first off, this is nice because it's symmetrical. That is very pleasing to look at. Next, I do wish the game... I mean, there's many things I wish about this game, but I wish the game would flip over the other cards that you didn't choose to show you what you could have had you only selected them. We'll never know, though. 2 experience is nice. That immediately goes into Pentacles, giving us a 3 at it. We go now and save the game really quick. And let's look at our first Arcana card. I think that's what these are. So Arcana cards, I'm going to call them that, even if that's not what this is, but I'm pretty sure it is, are head down in a very special inventory. You play these cards as if you played another card during your hand during a combat challenge. Or actually any challenge, that is. And you always can play them, no matter what. You have the option of playing the card. Your Arcana cards are the highest card possible. They win everything. And they're worth 6 points, 1 higher than the king, when you play them. But all Arcana cards have some interesting effect to them. Some Arcana cards you never want to play. Some Arcana cards you want to play as soon as possible. And I really like how this in particular was balanced in the game. Let's look at Justice. Anytime that we draw an ace in any challenge, you gain a trick-taking point while this card is in your inventory. So every time we get an ace, we get a free point, making it easier for us to beat the challenge. You have no clue how many aces I tend to get playing this game. I get a lot. A whole lot of them. Especially as the game goes on. It tends to be what I only get sometimes. So getting free points for aces, that's really handy. I very much like it. And I will probably not be using Justice until much later on in the game. Okay, so with that done, let's now see what's inside this room. Your eyes are immediately drawn to the dancing flames. They seem to have no source of fuel, but are confined to a chalk circle enclosing a pentagram. At each point, a small votive candle still burns. Then you notice the robed body sprawled on the wooden floor. You step closer. As you advance step by step, you begin to feel uneasy. You sense a powerful evil presence in the room, and a chill runs down your spine. A face takes form in the flames, and you stop in your tracks. It seems to stare into your soul, and you are afraid. This thing bound within the pentagram is demonic. Of that there can be no doubt. You must focus your mind and overcome the swelling sense of panic that the creature's gaze has sent through your entire being. You have kept your sanity, and you break eye contact with the flaming demon. You'll know better than to look it directly in the eyes again. You've stumbled upon the scene of a demon summoning gone wrong. The power within the pentagram circle has obviously lashed out at its would-be master and killed him outright. What the hell was he doing here? Avoiding contact with the demon's fiery eyes, you examine the scene more closely. You notice that the chalk circle has been broken ever so slightly. This must be what led to the demise of the robed figure lying prostrate before you. Who knows what this poor evil soul had in mind that would compel him to consort with demons. You must tread carefully here. We have a good chance of bargaining with it. It's helpful that that one story token has been drawn. We'll try this. With the chalk circle broken, you wonder why the demon has not attacked you. Perhaps you could try and communicate with it and see what it wants. It's a choice that should be considered carefully. You know from training that the demon will seek to deceive and dominate you. We have a good chance of beating it up too, but let's try to talk with it. If there's swords up there, we've won. If there isn't, we will struggle. Or we'll draw a Knight of Cups, and we have the King of Cups in our hand, and we won't have to worry about it anyway. Wow. No swords. Initiating the communication via the lost sign language of Chaldash, you establish contact with the demon. It claims to be a prince of hell, but you suspect it exaggerates. It wants you to do something for it, and it promises to reward you if you hold to the bargain. Oh my god, a free feat! The demon wants your help and threatens to kill you and take your soul just as it did this sorry acolyte lying here at your feet if you do not cooperate. In this house, a worthless servant of his has been trapped in a ritual of summoning. It was bound by an acolyte to a fireplace as a crude joke. On its mantelpiece is an odd slip of paper with writing on it. Bring the paper back here so he can release his servant and punish him. If you do this, he promises a reward fitting your task. It's very rare that I get a feat so early in the game. Critical hit. We have to have a cup's bone or a sword's bone. We have a sword's bone, so we can use it. It requires a ranged item. We have a gun. And it uses courage, not bullets, to use it. Roll one bone, and then select a revealed non-face trick card and bump its card value. Oh, so this is the same thing as our Occult 45. Only, it bumps that card value down -X, and we get to add X points to our trick taken score. Then we get to draw a card. Nice, very nice. Still can't use that one edge we have, though. We should check the rest of the room. We'll go and tell the chef about his knife. A pack of ghouls. You stumble upon 3 figures hunching over something lying on the floor. It's the remains of the oven based upon where we stepped. They look up to face you. You recoil in horror as you observe their blood-covered faces. These creatures have been feasting on a body, and it looks human. You see things far worse than this. Ghouls. You would know those canine features and that smell anywhere. The odd has been called in more than once to fight ghoul infestations. Calcutta, Chicago, London, Fond du Lac, they seem to pop up everywhere. You remember the briefings. Hit them hard and they will scatter. Don't let them swarm you or get behind you. Make sure you get any wounds, especially bite wounds, treated immediately. It's not the best chance, but fighting is better than fleeing. I'd rather not use our gun stopping power. We'll try to beat him up. It's not an even fight, but whoever said life was fair. Poor ghouls. I don't know about this, but we're going to give it a try. That's very nice. Thank you, game, for being so kind. Does it give me the queen? We have the king in our hand. You won the battle. The ghouls are no match for you. They fall where they stood, and the puddle of blood on the floor is now bigger than ever. Oh, didn't get anything, though. You enter a trance and tell the chef that you have located his knife. You had to insist a little, but it got the point. The ghostly chef is still moving in an energetic circle, seeming wrapped in its ectoplasmic food preparations. You wonder if it couldn't leave this all behind, or is just being punished for some foul poisoning. I was hoping for a lot more than that. I won't say no to 2 extra experience points. So, I feel like we should improve our wands and pentacles again. And since it's easiest for us to improve... cups and pentacles. Since I want those both at 4. We'll start with pentacles, because that's quicker to level. And then we'll stop here, everyone. So thank you guys for watching. So we still got quite a bit left of the first floor left. Probably 2 more episodes to fully explore this, and 1 more story token will be drawn. How are we doing on quests, by the way? Oh my god, look at all the quests we have now. We need to tell the butler about the chef, and then go back and tell the dinner party about the dessert. We know where the red hand is as well. Everything else we have to discover still. I think it would still behoove us to go out in this... Well, we are here. We should probably open all the doors and see what's on the other side of them, explore those rooms, before we head back down on this side. Alright, but that's the next episode. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you hopefully in it. Take care, everyone.